a bit of a circuitous route to come to science and health. I was raised in the United Church, and that didn't answer all of my questions. And I initially was spoken to, somebody spoke to me about Christian Science at one point in my 20s. I can't remember at this point whether I opened the Science and Health book, but I know that it didn't leap off the page for me at that time. But I continued in my studies. I became a psychologist, so I'm a psychologist, and developed a really deep searching interest, I guess, to understand truth and understand healing. And when I say it's a circuitous route, I feel like when we talk about the 3 degrees of mind, that I've spent a lot of time in second degree exploring other religions, exploring other healing paths, certainly studied homeopathy and energy work, and which to me is working with consciousness. So there was a healing aspect, but as I evolved in my own personal studies and in my search, I kept believing there must be a higher level than this. It's still working to get to somewhere where there must be a potential to just be there, right? And finally, I came across Science and Health again about 7 or 8 years ago. And this time when I read it with new eyes and new understanding, it answered all my questions. In fact, I feel like, many of us on this path and in this study are seekers of truth. And I found that every other path would answer a question and then lead to another one. And answer, one question would be answered, and then I'd go deeper in my search. And that kept continuing until Science and Health. And for me, Science and Health answers every question. Or, the path of Christian Science, to me, is the bedrock of truth. What is God? What is truth? How does healing happen? I was sharing with a friend recently some of the questions I had that led me into searching, the types of beliefs in science and health. And I was saying, even as a psychologist, what fascinated me were some of the sort of alternative research studies being done, and especially some about people with multiple personality disorders. And what would be fascinating, and I've read many, different studies, somebody with multiple personality disorder, when they're in one disorder, they may actually need eyeglasses. And when they switch to another personality, when they switch personalities, they don't need eyeglasses anymore. Or one study I'd read of a person when they were in one personality had a bee sting and had an anaphylactic reaction, were rushed to the hospital. They flipped personalities and the symptoms went away. So they were sent home, and on the way home they switched personalities again. So this kept saying to me, this is mind. This is mind, it's not body. So I guess what the studies mean, or what the work means to me, is a complete shift on how to see life. That everything in the outer is up for question, really. Since studying, I know I was dealing with some health issues, some environmental health issues, and certainly reading Christian Science was helping, but I can say when I took class instruction, the leap forward for me from having that level of training was huge in terms of, my physical changes for me. I just started reading more of her biographies since doing class instruction just last summer, so I'm, new to be speaking of being a student of Mary Baker Eddy's. She was inspirational. In fact, I'm thinking when we're in school, we certainly learn about, Einstein or just other great thinkers. And I question why we haven't learned about Mary Baker Eddy. Really, if this information was known to everyone. I guess I came into it looking at metaphysics, and Jesus being a master metaphysician was a new idea to me to start to see it that way. But Mary Baker Eddy is somebody even more human to us, I think. So what she was able to demonstrate was profound. It's an interesting balance, because on one level you can look at a world issue and know that what appears is not really the truth, and yet obviously what appears needs deep healing. So just the way I think about things is recognizing that simple line that divine love always has met and always will meet every human need. I trust that, but I still pray about that. It's been interesting since I took class of meeting more people who were born and raised as Christian Scientists, and we were having this conversation earlier that I had said to some people who I now know had, grew up in a household where they were taught Christian Science, and I said, wouldn't that be interesting though to have those beliefs all your life? And their response to me was, but yes, you had the opportunity to come to it fresh. Right? And so I think there's pros and cons both ways, and I really like that interpretation of it because it's very true that I was starting to develop these types of thoughts for myself with my own studies and searching. And so that's right, when I came to Science and Health, it was like, somebody has thought this way and gone, much deeper than I have in exploring this. And it definitely was fresh.